Hello, welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot, or should I say 안녕하세요. Welcome back to Hazel Jane Tarot. Today I am here with a very exciting package which has just arrived in the post, and this is the beautiful Korea Tarot deck. And I have to start off by saying a big thank you to Derek from the Hermit's Cave Facebook group. Derek, who lives in Busan, in South Korea, who sent this deck originally to Simon at the Hermit's Cave and also to Jen at Jen's Balanced Tarot. And I saw both of those channels which I follow. I saw both of them with this deck and got very excited and thought I had to get a hold of a copy as well. And while I can read Hangul a little bit, no way could I navigate a Korean language bookstore online. And thanks to Derek, he sorted the whole thing out for me, and we processed the payment and everything, and here it is. And that was only, a week ago, so that's come really quickly. And I'm just so excited to have this. I lived in South Korea for a year, just outside of Seoul. From sort of 2005 to 2006. So that's, oh goodness, that's nearly 15 years ago. And so here we have the beautiful Korea Tarot deck. My just about can remember my Korean pronunciation. So, or Tarot Kade, sorry. Kade, not deck. Tarot Kade. Beautiful Korea Tarot card. Yes, I am so excited. I'm not going to attempt to read the rest of it. I embarrass myself even further with my terrible Korean pronunciation because it has been a while. But as I say, I lived in South Korea teaching at a kindergarten, an English language kindergarten, and after school English school, so teaching sort of 3-year-olds to 10-year-olds for a year. And then I lived in Australia for a number of years and taught English as a foreign language there to adult international students, which included a lot of adult Korean students. So at least when I lived in Australia, there were a lot of lovely Korean restaurants as well and Korean grocery stores that I could go to. Back in Northern Ireland here, unfortunately, we just don't have, there's one Korean restaurant that serves galbi in Dublin that I'm aware of. In Ireland is not, we don't really have the as much diversity of kind of places to buy groceries and eat and so on. But so I miss a lot of things I miss about Korea, mostly my friends that I made when I was there, but the food was completely amazing. And I would love to go back. I would love to go back for a holiday, and I think I'd probably just gain a lot of weight eating while I was there. Right, I can't get this box open, sorry. Sorry, off-camera box struggle. I didn't want to tear it to get the box opened. So here we have this sort of little package. All right, so beautiful Korea tarot card. And the book is, of course, entirely, as you would expect, in Korean. So I have no hope of being able to read this. I did study a little bit of Korean while I was living in the country, obviously, but my language is mainly functional. So I was able to, buy food in a restaurant, make change in a shop, and tell a taxi driver the directions to get to my house, that kind of thing. But I didn't have sort of functional conversational Korean, which is that lazy English speaker privilege, I guess. I was able to, my Korean friends were able to speak English, and you could sort of get by as long as I had functional Korean. So I'm embarrassed to say that I never really learned to speak the language properly while I was living there. So the book will definitely be beyond my language capabilities. So here we have the deck, and that's the backs. They're quite a nice feeling card, actually. And it's a reversible back design, apart from there's a little little initial in the corner, which would tell you which way is up. Beautiful Korea tarot card. Okay. They're really nice cardstock, actually. It's really matte, but kind of slippy. They're, from the other videos, I was expecting the cards to be smaller than this. They are actually, to my eye, very close to a traditional tarot card size. I don't have another deck just on hand, unfortunately, but they're only very slightly smaller. So let's zoom in a little bit and have a look. So I'm going to try not to get in my own light. Sorry about the poor light. I am filming this at 4:30 in the evening, so it's pretty dark here now. But I couldn't wait. I wouldn't be able to do an unboxing if I'd waited any longer until I got daylight, because it would be another few days before I was at home during the day to do this. And I couldn't wait to open the box. So the Magician. I am not going to attempt to read these aloud because I know I will get them wrong, but I will be spending a little bit of time later going through the names in Korean and seeing how they sound, and I'm trying to have a go at saying them. One thing I loved about the Korean language is the phonetic alphabet. So you were able, once you'd learned the alphabet, to sort of read place names on the front of the bus, or items on a menu, and if you knew what the name sounded like, you were able to read it as well. It's a very cleverly put together language. Like, English is horrendous by comparison. English is so not phonetic. Gosh, these are beautiful. They are so beautiful. The traditional wigs or the hair and the costumes, the hanbok, and they're just beautiful. I have memories of going to some of the palaces in Seoul, and where they have the tourist thing where you can dress up in the costume and you put on the big wig of the hair and have your photo taken. So there's a photo of me wearing a costume that's not a million miles away from that, obviously not as ornate, but at a temple, or not a temple, at a palace in Seoul. That's beautiful. The Lovers, lovely. The youthful style of the hanbok and the palace in the background is gorgeous. The Chariot, Strength. The drawing style is really lovely, and the colours are really intense. The Hermit, or the Wheel of Fortune. I love this. So the one thing I always find when I was talking to Korean students, or they would talk about, we have 4 seasons in Korea, as if other countries didn't have 4 seasons. But then when you lived in South Korea, you know what they mean. The 4 seasons are so markedly different. You get the really, really cold winters with the snow and minus 20 degrees. In the autumn, the leaves in the national parks, on the mountains and the forests, the spectacular colour changes. The spring is just full of flowers. The summers are really hot. There really are much more dramatically different seasons than we would have in Ireland, and certainly in Australia we didn't have the kind of seasonal change where I was living there. So this lovely image of the wheel with the 4 seasons, it really reminds me of the 4 seasons in South Korea. We have Justice. The Lone Man instead of the Hanged Man. That's really interesting. So amazing. Death image. And there's so much, to look into with this. And unfortunately, obviously, the book wouldn't be in a position to understand the card descriptions in the book. But thankfully for the internet, and maybe be messaging some of my friends that I used to work with as well to inquire about some of the imagery and symbolism. The chilies here tied along this rope fence are really interesting. The little baby and the figure, sort of like the death figure in the water. It's amazing. Temperance. Oh, and the mountains in South Korea are so spectacular. Hiking was a big part of weekend activities when I was living there. The devil. So obviously there's a story behind this character that I'll have to find out about. The tower. Oh, and the destruction of the palaces. Like when you go to some of the great palaces in Seoul, the palace that you visit has been reconstructed since the war, because they were destroyed during the Second World War, and around that sort of time. And it's just really sad how much of the culture was destroyed. I don't want to say too much because I'll probably have misremembered and I'll say the wrong thing or get the dates wrong. But that really, I can imagine that touches that's a really, it's a sad image. The star, it's really beautiful. The moon. These are gorgeous. They're so beautiful. And the sun and the children in their little handbook. On the National Festival Day, which I'm not going to remember the name of now, the children all came into school that I taught in their traditional clothing, and they were only little like that. Karma. Oh, there's a lot to look into in that particular image. It's the stories that are being told there. The world. Oh, that is just gorgeous. I'm so glad that they're illustrated pips. I would have been really disappointed if they were, if they had been just pips. I feel like there's a story being told here. I like the way the colours are being used. So there's yellow there all through the swords. Oh, the court cards are just gorgeous. So then we have the King and Queen of Pentacles. So then the yellow for the air suit, and now we have green for the earth suit. Wow. Yes. 2, that's lovely. 3, 4. Oh, the fish. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. There's definitely feels like there's a narrative that links these together. They have that nice sound that you get from really nice matte cardstock as they whisper past each other. So they have like the sort of traditional male page, male knight, male king, and then a female queen. Oh my goodness. I remember stopping at a few parks that were full of this kind of totem, or that they've used here for the Ace of Rods. I've got lots of photos of different types of those. The colours are gorgeous. So the rods, they're all in red then for the wand suit. And they're very similar to the Rider-Waite Smith, so they're easy to read that way. but there does seem to be some sort of narrative linking the cards and the minors together, which would be lovely to try to work out a little bit more what that might be. Oh, that's beautiful. And now obviously we're into the cups and we're using blue. That looks like a wedding ceremony maybe. Gorgeous. Oh, such a beautiful image in the swing. Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. It's a little bit different to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Whatever the story is. The 9 of Cups, the 10. Oh, the children bowing down to their seniors, to their parents, their grandparents. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the holiday. I can't believe I've forgotten. I suppose it has been 15 years since I lived, 14 years. But, oh, they are just beautiful. Really lovely. I am so delighted with this deck, and I think it will be for me. I mean, obviously my knowledge of Korean culture is limited, you know, with only having had 1 year of living in the country and it being quite a long time ago. But I think this is going to be a really nice experience of, you know, sinking into the imagery, doing a little bit of research again, talking to friends about, you know, what could this mean, and see what they what my Korean friends think that the cards maybe mean, or what stories they might tell. I don't think I've ever talked about tarot though. I have to think about that conversation. But I think there's going to be a lovely experience for me of kind of re-educating myself about some parts of Korean culture and history and stories, and getting to know this deck. And then I think just working with this deck and looking at the images will just reconnect me with that time in my life and the lovely time I had living in the country. So wow, I'm really delighted with this. So just again, a big thank you to Derek for his help in organising this deck to be to buy it and having it sent over to me. And yes, if you're watching this and you're you're thinking you would really like to get a copy of this deck, my recommended route is to join the Hermit's Cave Facebook group as a start, and have a chat with Derek and see where you go from there. But thanks so much for watching. And if you are Korean and you're familiar with the Korean culture and you recognize any of the stories or characters or figures in these cards, and you feel like sharing your knowledge below in the comments, please do so. It would be fantastic for me, and I'm sure for other people who might have watched the video as well, to learn a little bit from you if you have anything to share. So thank you for watching, and I feel sorry that I have already filmed my top favourite decks of 2020 video, because I think this should have been in there too. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.